Zero Gravity Space Racing. Welcome, Redout 2 review. So at the time of its arrival on the market, the first Redout was a sort of bolt from the blue. It was an independent video game that somehow tried to keep alive a genre that won zero-G racing that has the mainstream market seemed to have forgotten. Faced with a Nintendo refactory to the idea of developing new chapter of the F-Zero and a Sony now orphan of Wipeout, the Turing-based 35 big things aimed on most senseless enterprise, bringing an anti-gravity course to the market to get into a nice Microsoftic and hope to give the new hope to the genre. Redout went well, but not even the relaunch of Wipeout Omega Collection on the PlayStation 4 was somehow able to relaunch this type of titles. 34 Big Things, however, was not demoralized and continued to work on improving Redout to this day. The day it's officially released the game big sequel, and Redout 2 is an incredible step forward for the team and the franchise. A market improvement on all fronts, but let's go step by step. Looking at it from afar, Redout 2 could easily seem like the most classic of the second integration of racing games. Some new vehicles, some extra tracks and good polishing pass to freshen everything up is not so. If it's true that the series was never hidden, its notable inspiration from Wipeout, resulting in some ways of sort of spiritual here, Redout changes direction and ventures on the new path. The formula has undergone heavy revisions and has definitely freed itself from its combat racing roots. First, the weapons were removed to hit opponents in the race in order to unmark the title from its arcade vein and fully embeds the racing nature. The driver's dreaming ability is now the core of experience. It's a very strong choice, which risks outsing a part of the public in search of casual experience and which consequently speaks to the most of the hardcore fan base, to give it a title capable of challenging its reflexes and abilities. It seemed like a small change, but it's not. It's a clear turnaround in a search for a strong identity capable of detaching Redout 2 even from possible new iterations of the title that openly inspire it. The quantity and organization of the contents also changed, finally grouped with a serious career mode full of increasingly difficult events, promised with the criteria and justified by the possibility of obtaining great rewards every time you complete one. In fact, Redout 2 is a real maturation of the original concept, capable of detaching the creator of 35 big things from that image that is a bit too quoted from the past, to make it stand on its own legs. The price to pay is a difficult and plenty barrier to entry, but once you begin, you become familiar with the controls you can only fall in love with the interface of the game gameplay. Net of this, however, the great effort made by the team regarding the enjoyment of the experience should be underlined. Not only are tons of selectable difficulty levels, but a lot of work have been done with regards to driving aids. And this in fact possible to select one of many available presets or create a totally customized one. Thus just when and how much the aid will come into action and make the ship more easily manageable whenever you on land, whenever you are on a flight. It's clear that the second Redout benefited from the large budget than the debut title, with the team appealing to have wisely invested in the crucial elements of the experience. The game has not only improved enormously in the terms of its technical performance, but also benefits from an artistic direction finally free from the technical limitations of the first chapter. Redout 2 explodes in a myriad of lights, colors, refractions and particles in every single frame, and in tracks with a simple crazy layout, and its meantime it also manages to do beyond the racing, telling a credible and well-characterized remote future. The fact that the developer have clearly focused on something as foreign to the heart of the gameplay as world building is truly appreciable, because they have outlined a narrative universe that frames the crazy circuit races that went between the cities and the towns, breathtaking, the naturals and the landscapes. We are not just talking about the splendid environments in which the circuits have descended, which will take the pilots from the slopes of the Mount Fuji to peer into the void at the center of the black hole, but also about their geographical and political history. It may seem like a trivial matter, but being welcomed in each of the new locations by a cutscene that tells the story contributes to lowering the players even more deeply in the races of the Redout 2. we talk about the goodies, which however often manage to lengthen not slightly the life of the titles in general. The only section that has not been able to enjoy a graphic and artist revamp is one of the hued much more elegant in the past that's included in the second chapter. Not everything we talk about so far, however, we get the heart of the matter. How do you drive in Redout 2? The answer that is 44 big things is rather difficult video game which expands the control scheme of the first chapter to deepen in. The physics of the vehicles is now more complete to the point that in addition to the direction and horizontal position of the ship, it is now possible to control the lift of the vehicle in order to make it adapt better to very steep slopes of certain sections of the tracks, thinking about the loops. It is therefore played with the thumbs on both analog in such a way as to have so much control as possible in the airship, while taking care on the dosage of the accelerator and air brake, as well as of the turbo. The engines of the Redout 2 aircraft are in fact supercharged at any time with a push button. The only problem is that it progressively overheats the engine, which is temperature beyond the limit will eventually consume the vehicle's held up bar up to make it explode. To this is added the hyperboost of the ship, which provides the engine with the maximum power for a short period of time, to which it is possible to add the speed bonus given by a turbo as long as it is possible to keep resulting overheating under control from the combination of the two. The early days in command of the airships are not the best, because familiarizing yourself with their control system is a long and thrilling process that necessarily starts from a real study phase, which causes you to launch yourself on a track, become familiar with the crazy speeds at which you move even without installed upgrades. The World Henry Toivonen, legendary war rally driver, come to mind, who spoke about big cars and devilish monsters that human reflexes. And this time we're talking about the alien racing cars capable of reaching 2000 km per hour. The feeling in certain moment that is being totally at the mercy of the mixture of cracks and ultrasonic speed lulled and its electronic soundtrack of the game, which ranges drum and bass, 5-stage and go. This is where the key factors come into play, the muscle memory. Learning to drive is one of the biggest theme, and over 70 tracks available to how to learn layout by heart. Impress in words on your fingertips. In this way, the auto sims compare the slowness of throughout it face a double loop and ends with a jump with to be calculated on the course, a time correction in the trajectory in a flight. In short, Redout 2 is a complex driving experience and had a particularly served master, but when you begin to see the first improvements, the sensation he can give are priceless. So, the verdict and the summary. The Redout 2 is profound revision of the concept of the first chapter, finally blessed by a budget that allows the crazy artistic direction to free themselves from the limits of the past to create the experience that is time incomparable. New events, airships and localizations reinforce the identity of the title, which was born on a trip to master of the game such as Wipeout and F-Zero, but which today has taken its own path, a path oriented towards pure driving skills. You have to try and try again for a long time to be able to internalize the controls, the totally crazy speeds and complexity of the layout of the tracks. But Redout 2 knows how to revolve the most temptations with a complete and satisfying experience like a few others. Bye.